This lecture, the connection was still in my...
Okay, so this morning, we are supposed to be, I'm going to show you the plan for this week. So today yesterday we were supposed to be doing the reflection and then complete the assignments. And this morning we're supposed to be discussing about demographies. So I'm expecting you that we have around 133 students who have enrolled on the Moodle. So I hope that the remaining one are going to enroll as soon as possible. Okay. So this is the course description. Here you will find a teaching plan, what you are supposed to be doing every day. And yesterday, I hope that you will be, I was supposed to do these two, had the introduction, then we have the reflection of the class, and then we are supposed to be taking this reflection quiz, which I hope some of you have already completed. So today we're supposed to be talking about demography, and then in the afternoon and after this morning class, you are going to do your group assignment on demography, and you have to complete it by tomorrow before 9 a.m. As you know, in the morning you have from 8 to 9 to prepare for classes, read the pre-class materials, and be able to respond or to understand better the course. So as you know, we are doing blended learning. So most of the time we are given these materials, you are supposed to be reading them. And if you don't understand them, that's where a lecturer comes in and we discuss about issues that you might be having. So, tomorrow, there will be someone who will be coming to teach you. We'll talk about occupational health, and then we'll also teach you about traditional medicine. And after that, we talk about critical appraisal. So I think that's the tomorrow we will be having a lecture that will come from here to teach you. And then the next Thursday morning, you will had the same lecture, and then we'll have the patient-centered communication in the afternoon. And Friday, we'll be learning more about teaching and learning and feedback. So that's and then next week, we'll have in-person, the lecturer will come in person. So this morning, what we are going to discuss is more about reflection and why reflection is important. And what we have to look on what we learned in the ISOCO one. So what we want you from this session is that you want to know about the use of critical thinking and the reflection technique to improve learning, and understand what the difference between cognition and metacognition and the importance of why reflection is important. So why a reflection is important in medical education? There are some materials that are posted that you can really read and understand why. When we're talking about reflection, everyone should be able to understand what reflection is about. But then in reflection, we have to think about what we call cognition. In cognition and metacognition. In cognition is the mental action or process of acquiring knowledge and understanding through thoughts, experience, and the senses. So this is what we call cognition. So it's basically how the mental action of how we acquire knowledge. and how we understand the thoughts and the experience, and then what we call metacognition. Are you able to hear me? So to before continue, I want to see how many people are on the call. If you can raise your hands, I just want to see if you are hearing me. If you are hearing me, just raise your hand. Okay, so it seems like we are hearing me. So let's continue then. So what I was talking is about what is metacognition and recognition. And in metacognition is more about thinking why people the process learning, about being aware how cognition is happening. This is important because every single time we'll be dealing with experienced patients, your experience in the hospital, it's really important that you reflect on what you really experienced. And in cognition, it's like when I was in the class today, learning about deflection, it was difficult to concentrate. So basically now, those who are talking, please mute yourself. And then you think about how can I improve? What can I do to improve my understanding of knowledge? So this process is what we call meta.
We can't see the slide, bro.
So can you see the slides?
Yes.
Can you see them now? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So for example, when we're talking about metacognition, is more about how can I improve myself? How can I improve what I was learning? Basically, you're reflecting on what was your experience and then think about how to move forward. Okay. So what is when we talk someone is doing critical thinking? What do you want to know about critical thinking? In critical thinking, this is not just accepting what you are told, but a willingness to question it, think about it, and think for yourself. In critical thinking, we expect that medical students or dental students
Don't just accept.
all every health professionals understand what is the importance of critical. thinking. Can you hear me now? I think I lost you a bit.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Okay, so this is what we're talking about, critical thinking. And in critical thinking, it makes you to be a problem solver. It helps you to solve problem because this is the place where you are able to reflect and recognize and also synthesize key ideas of what learning took place. In a critical thinking, you have to think about not only about what happened, but also looking about what was the importance of that. So taking a challenging attitude to what you read, hear and observe, and be able to develop robust and cogent from the thing from different. So if I do this, what will happen? If I prescribe this medication, what will happen? If I don't see this patient, what will happen? So this is part of what we call critical thinking. Okay. So in reflection is a process, and in reflection there are different topic issues that you want to reflect upon, and you understand why reflection is important. So reflection is more looking back to what happened and try to solve them. Make what happening, why, and think about that process. And reflection me think mentally and learn from experience, so improve yourself for the future. So for people, themselves, reflection is important. I'm going to play through, and you can let me know if you are hearing it.
Who are you? Where did you come from? Today, I want to talk about the importance of self-reflection.
Are you able to hear that?
Yes.
How far you've come and where you are because of that. Because if you don't acknowledge these things, how will you ever appreciate your successes? And if you don't do these on a consistent basis, maybe you'll forget. As human beings, we are forgetful creatures. We live in a world where we're always being marketed something. We're always being sold some new product, some new service that will make us feel better, make us look better about ourselves. But at the end of the day, I think the only person that can make you feel enough is you. And by reflecting, you're breaking free of that mold. And you're seeing, this is where I want to get to. This is where I am now. And tomorrow I'll be here. And I've already come this far. In life, a lot of the times, we're going to be pushed like a ship in an ocean, being battered from side to side, pushed by our friends, our school, our college, our university, our friends, society, TV, media, you name it. And these things have an effect. They make us believe in something. They make us move towards something. But I think internally we know what we want to move towards. And if we're not reflecting, our path can easily be diverted. If you imagine it's a degree, if you shift that 5 degrees, there's a difference from here to here that you've been shifted. And so, if you're going to move forward, I think it's important to acknowledge the size of every obstacle that you've overcome. Every obstacle that is now beneath you, that you've overcome, so you've become larger than. Otherwise, if you're not acknowledging these things, if you're not ticking them off and saying to yourself, I did this, you'll never be enough. Only you can tell yourself that you are the standard to fit into. There is no standard that you need to fit into. You were born complete, ready-made. And so, without reflection, we can easily become like a ship lost at sea, without any steering, without any anchor, floating aimlessly. Take control.
So this is what what is reflection is about. You have always to think about what was the where we were in the past and where you want to go. Now you are in the second year of medical school. You want to think about how you get into the medical school, and think about how where you want to go and see all the progress you've made. Is there some challenges that you are facing at the moment that is preventing you to move forward? So think about those issues and understand why it is important to reflect. And reflection is a tool for us to improve. It's to improve our learning, the way we teach, our knowledge, our attitude, and skills. It's really important. It helps to organize your thoughts, and you can reflect alone. You can reflect those. Some people reflect by writing on the notebook and on a journal, but others reflect with peers and colleagues, and also reflect with mentors. So those it's a practice that I'm encouraging everyone to learn. And I will tell you why it's important, especially in the social and community medicine. Why are we talking about reflection and not talking about at the moment? Because every single time when you are making a decision about the life of a patient, it will either has a positive or negative impact. So if you so we're coming back on talking about moment of reflection. When do we reflect? We do reflect usually after class, maybe after something happened, or after a meeting, or after a patient encounter. We try to do it close to the moment so that it doesn't take us a long time, so that we don't forget important details and thoughts. Okay, so that's why it's really important to reflect just after the something happened, so that you know about why it's really important about reflection. Okay, so reflection is personal. Are we still together?
Yes.
Are we together? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. When reflecting, we want to improve ourselves. Reflection be an internal process, and reflection can be done with a small group of people that you trust, that you feel safe. So it's very important that we do reflection. In your course of social and community medicine, when you are going in the community, every course, every topic that you learn, or if you go to the community, it is followed by reflection. That's why it's really important for you to understand what is reflection and why reflection is important, so that when you start going to the community, you understand why we're doing this kind of reflection. And when you're reflecting, think about things positively. Okay. For example, if you say like, the teacher should not give us so many assignments. Okay. So is it why is it reflection or not? But if we say, I do not understand Moodle, the teacher should do a better job in explaining it. Okay. So is this a good reflection? So if you can tell me which one do you think is a good reflection? The teacher should not give us so many assignments, and I do not understand the Moodle. The teacher should do a better job in explaining. Which one is a good reflection? Who can tell me? Who can tell me? Is this a good reflection or not a good reflection?
No.
No, why? Why is it not a good reflection? Okay, so when you are talking about reflection, you want to improve yourself. You want, for example, if you say the teacher should not give us so many assignments, are you trying to improve yourself, or you want to not do anything? But if you say, I don't understand Moodle, the teacher should do a better job in explaining it. So you realize that you have weakness, and you also see the way to improve it. So I think this is what we call, with reflection, you want to learn more or even lead to action to improve. Reflection is not to conclude that all improvements need to happen outside yourself, but if you conclude that improvement is needed outside, then good reflection will give you the plan to what can I do to make sure the improvement will happen. Okay, so this is why the law of and the outcome of reflection is that you want to be able to see where the improvement will come from. You have to think about what happened today. When I was in the class, I was maybe not following. Why? And you ask yourself why. Was there any challenge? Or maybe the lecture was not good. Or maybe I had some issues with my internet. Or maybe I was not concentrated because I'm not interested. And then you think about what now? What can I do now? What is possible? What's going to be the outcome of me not following this course or not listening to what they are telling me? Because every single course that you're learning here has been made in your curriculum because there is a purpose or there is an importance of it. Otherwise, if there's not a content, they will remove in the curriculum. So that's why we have to think about why this course, why am I learning this, and what with this, how this will happen or will happen in the future. I found it difficult to work with internet. So that's an example of thinking about why. And maybe the why is, I don't know what resources to trust. There are so many resources. So I don't know which one to trust. So the way forward is, let me work with a colleague to improve myself. So I'm realizing that I'm having a challenge. So you also make step for improvement. You want to see someone who's going to help you to be able to move forward. So there are different ways to reflect with different steps to take. We use the four, we have to describe the issues. Basically, when you're describing what happened when, who were involved, and where that happened. And then you go to analysis. Why this happened? Why? And you ask yourself why. And then you evaluate. So after seeing this, so what is next? What if I do like that? And finally, you take action. So you describe the issue, you do analysis, you evaluate, then you take action. So those are the four steps in reflection. And of course, the paper is not teaching you how everyone should reflect, but just giving you the systematic approach to how you should do a better reflection of any event that probably has an impact on you. So you describe what happened, you analyze what were and why. Think about what were you feeling that moment, what was good and bad, and you will compare with similar experiences. And then in the evaluation, what do I think now about this experience, and what have I learned from this experience, and then what will I do next time, and what will I improve? So reflection is like a journey. There is a past, there is a place where you pass through, but also there is a destination. There is a place where you are going to go. You can't just stay in the middle. You have to also to think about how the past can inform your future and be able to be to reach your destination. Okay. When, for example, I'm giving you these examples of deflection. For example, I can say, oh, students did not do the preparation. So that's my reflection because they didn't respond to the class. One way of analyzing it is probably asking myself, why? Maybe there was no time. And for me, I think, oh, but they have from 8 to 9 to think about, to do the class materials. And maybe I say, oh, maybe there is an internet problem. Okay. But we all contribute to about our education. So what happens if there is no internet? What is the internet problem? Can I go closer to my colleague who has internet? Or maybe students are lazy. They don't want to study. Or they are probably studying maybe anatomy course in ISOCO course, or they are somewhere else. So those are some of the issues that I can think about. Why? This is because we realize that those are some critical issues that can impede your future. You can't only study one course and become a good doctor. You have to make sure that you understand everything. So let's just think about our case of Josephine Neighbor. Josephine Neighbor, who is called Mary, is a single mom who is taking care of 5 children who has a drinking problem. Okay. So this Josephine, this friend of Josephine, one evening last week, Josephine had a lot of noise, screaming, and then one of Mary's children, who is called Reese, came running to Josephine with a lot of blood on her head from a cut and crying very hard. So when Josephine started helping, Mary came and screamed, "Give me back my daughter." Josephine and Mary then started a verbal fight. Okay, so this is the incident that happened. And you are going to reflect or to think about what happened. So eventually, Josephine locked her house and let Lucy sleep with her children. So let's reflect about what happened. When you think, for example, if you're in a class, we have pretended, well, like one class was Josephine, the other class was Mary. And we are going to use the 4 steps of reflection. we are going to describe what happened. We'll describe what were the feelings, evaluate what was the situation, and what will I do next time. For example, if I was Mary's or if I was Josephine, what will I do next time? So this is an example that you can do in your groups to reflect about this experience and think about this kind of analysis. Let us reflect again about the role of ISOCO, the design one and healthcare providers. We are talking about doctors who will be a good communicator, collaborator, manager, health advocate, scholar, and professionals. And we're talking about people who are going to be patient and any community providers. So this is why reflection is important, and you have to try every single time to do reflection, either alone with your peers or even your group. But reflection will help you to improve your future. Talk about quality of reflection, and we are going to reflect about on ISOCO. Okay. This is not a test. We normally, when we're in class, we talk about false and true, but these are some of the questions that we're going to think about, and you're going to let me know if, so someone should raise a hand and say why it's true or false. Okay. So we're going to reflect about the previous ISOCO one. So in patient-centered care, when a doctor has diagnosed a disease, the doctor always decides which treatment to use. Is it true or false? True or false? Anyone?
True.
So can you explain why it's true?
I think it's because it's more related to the doctors, and there is like the way we can associate with other doctors or other nurses. It's more like only personal, individual concern of the doctor to give the final result.
Okay. So you are thinking about either that anyone else who has a different opinion?
Yes.
Okay. Is it true or false?
False.
So why is false?
Because I think in patient-centered care, maybe the patient cannot afford to buy that treatment. So doctor should get the idea from the patient or from
So this is false because when a doctor diagnoses this lesion, the doctor is going with the patient and they come to a conclusion with mutual agreement. So the doctor doesn't decide. You always decide to treat you. Prejudice is a preconceived opinion that is based on sound reasoning and actual experience. True or false? True or false? Are we together? You can understand?
It is false.
Okay. In a prejudice is a preconceived opinion that is not based on sound reasoning. So this is false. Prejudice doesn't necessarily based on sound reasoning and logical experience. So in Rwanda, the total number of patients seen in healthcare is much more than the number of patients seen in hospital. Hello? Anyway, so I think probably this is a bit hard for you to respond online. I will keep these questions separate, and then you will respond them as part of the assignments. Okay. So there are around questions that we want you to discuss, and there are around 17 questions. Either we do it as assignments and we discuss among as part of the reflection. Okay. So we're gonna quickly talk about demographies, and this the question. This question you are going to read them and understand and reflect about the ISOCO. Okay, and some of them actually were part of the assignments that you did. Okay. So we're going to talk about a little bit about population health, and we talk about demography. Oh, by the way, has anyone who has an issue with the previous presentation? Any issue? Any question? Hello? Are we together?
Yes.
No question?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So if there's no question, we'll talk about demography. So those are the materials that you are supposed to be reading, and I'm hoping that you got time to read through them to understand what are demographic indicators and talk about life expectancy. And so what's objective of this presentation is want to define what is demography and basic demography. Yes.
May you share the slides, the presentation?
Sorry? What was it? What did he say?
May you share the presentation?
Hello? But all material. Did you go on Moodle? Yes. All those are materials that are already posted on Moodle. If you can see everything, that introduction, the presentation for today, the presentation for even for the one that I'm presenting, all those and assignments and the pre-class materials are all posted. So the new way of learning is that lecturers doesn't necessarily to be in front of you. We have to either understand that we gave you materials, what you have to read them, and when is mostly to explain some of the concepts that you might not understand. But it's no longer like to basically spoon feed you every single documents, because otherwise you won't have enough time to complete everything. All materials, present videos, or resources are already posted. That already posted. So I'm hoping that you get time to read them, understand them. Okay. You have the teaching plan here of what's learning every day. So follow the teaching plan and know what is the course going to be next. So that you know how. Please. Hello? Are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we are.
So are you able to see the materials that are posted on Moodle?
Yes.
So this one who is requesting the assignment, the notes, if you don't see them, let me know. But I'm expecting that they are visible on the platform. Okay. So the objective of this course is that we are going to interpret what the demographic pyramids, discuss what demographic changes, and compare the determinant and the consequences of demographic changes. So what is demography? Demography comes from a Greek word that means population description and quantitative measure of population size, structure, and changes. So that is what means demography. And why demography is important. Demography is important because we have to know the population structure. We have to be able to understand how the country performs. And also it is used for decision and policy and decision and planning and monitoring. Okay. And also it also helps to understand the population projection. For example, now if you are planning, for example, Vision 2050, there are a reason why we anticipate how much the population is going to be, and that is through what we call demography. Okay. So demographic indicators. What are the demographic dynamics? When you talk about dynamics, we talk about what is changes. Dynamics means changes. And also we are what we call population structures. So in population dynamics, or how the population changes, there is what we call fertility. Fertility, and we talk about mortality, migration, and those are what we call the indicators of population dynamics or population changes. Infertility is the mostly talking about how many people a woman can, how many children a woman in childbearing age can give birth. Okay, mortality is the amount, how many people, how many deaths, and migration, how many people came in the country or went out of the country. So that's what we are calling about population dynamics. In population structure, we talk about age, sex, those are part of what we call population structures. So population size. How does the population population interests. We talk about births and immigration. Immigration, those are people who entered in the country. And also, we talk about population exit. How does the population exit, or how, so we talk about deaths and immigration. So, nima tugiye kureba the total number of population in the country. We are talking about people who are already there, but also we're going to add how many people were born and how many people came in the country. Okay, population exit, those are the how the population of a country goes down, either by someone dying or someone going outside the country. So when we talk about population growth, we talk about what we call the natural growth and what is the net migration. The net migration is basically negative population is when mortality exceeds fertility. Igihe abapfuye baruta abavutse, that means that we have a negative natural population growth, if you understand. Uko umubare w'abaturage wiyongera naturally, hari abavuka hari n'abapfa. So when umubare w'abapfuye uruta uw'abavutse, then we will definitely have what we call negative natural population growth. And we will have what we call positive natural population growth when the fertility exceeding the mortality. We'll have, iyo dufite abana benshi bavuka kurusha abapfa, we'll have a positive natural population growth. I think you understand those terms, and you have also to revise them, understand much better. But that's what means negative natural population growth is when the mortality exceeds fertility, and we have positive when the fertility exceeds mortality. So there is another concept what we call the rate and the ratios. What is a rate? The rate is an event in a given population in a given time. Okay, so rate, for example, can say the number of live births per 100 population in given year. And this is what we call a birth rate. Birth rate ni umubare w'abana bazima bavutse over a population of 1,000. Okay, and that's how we calculate birth rate. Okay, so what is the ratio then? One apple as a number. For example, we can say number of male over the number of female. That is what we call the sex ratio. Okay, number of male over the number of females, and this is what we call a sex ratio. So I hope you understand what is the difference between rates and the ratio. A rate is more about has to factor in the concept of time, but ratio is just two numbers, one number divided by another number. Okay, so what are the population dynamics? Is what we call crude birth rate, which are the births that happening in a given year. And we talk about total fertility rate, which is the number of children per woman in a lifespan. Okay, total TFL or total fertility rate ni umubare umumama umubyeyi ashobora kubyara mu buzima bwe bwose. Okay, so if we look about what we call fertility rate in Rwanda using the DHS, the Demographic Health Survey of 2014-2015, we look about the age. So for example, in age population, age group of 15 to 19, between urban and area and rural, you will see that this is the fertility. So we'll see This is the number of people who are born. Okay, so we see that total fertility rate between 15 to 49, we'll see that 3.3, 3.6, and in rural 4.6. What does this tell you? Ni ukuvuga ko abantu bo mu cyaro in rural area, they have umubyeyi wo mu cyaro ashobora kubyara abana 4 average mu buzima bwe bwose. That's so this accounts those who can ababyara benshi n'ababyara bake. So in rural it's 4.3, in urban 3.6. Okay, so this is how most of the time. And then tomorrow, when you are reading about how to critically read articles, sometimes you meet this concept. Total fertility rate was this number. Okay. So if you look about these numbers, what does it tell you? So in what we call crude mortality rate, those are death per 1,000 population in a given year. Remember, rate has the concept of time, and age-specific mortality is age-specific death per 100 population in a given year. Okay, so this is some of the concepts that you have to know. So mortality rate in Rwanda between male and female rates. So these are the for men, women. This is for men. But for example, if you consider the age group between 15 and 19, not the actual numbers. So mortality rate we see that it is higher in men than women. What does it mean, explanation? But when you come back to maybe this, let's say, between 25, okay, and 29, we have 9 people dying, okay? Who can explain me these numbers, okay? So you will see that between the age category 14 to 49, we see 3.1. And men y'abagore iri hasi y'abagabo kujyana n'abagabo no kubera iki? Anyone?
Hello.
Yes? Go ahead. Hello?
Hello.
Yes? Yes, go ahead. Hello? Turi kumwe?
Yego turimo kumva.
Mutansubiza se. Okay. So anyway, we'll think about it. So what we call child mortality, there is neonatal mortality in the first 28 per 1,000 live birth. And when we talk about infant mortality, we talk about the mortality that happening under 1 year per 1,000 live birth. When we talk about under 5 mortality, which is a mortality that happening under 5 per 1,000 live birth. So you have to understand those concepts. What is the mortality and what does it tell you? Okay. Okay. Next. Child mortality in Rwanda is showing you how neonatal mortality were 29. Also, mortality now using the VHS 2014 and what does it tell you? Okay, so it show you those indicators for the maternal mortality. So this is the ratio. Okay, this is about rate. Is the average annual maternal death divided by the average number of women in reproductive age. When we talk about reproductive age, we talk about from 15 to 14 years. So that's what we talk about when we what we call reproductive age. So maternal mortality rate so means that from 14 to 49 is the reproductive age. Is the percentage of female death that are maternal, and this is maternal mortality rate, which is 0.29. So it gives you an idea of how many women are dying in childbearing age. Okay. So in Rwanda, according to the VHS 2014, we were around 210 deaths per 1,000 population, 100,000 women. Okay, so what is life expectancy? The expected remaining life years from certain age and based on age-specific mortality rate for a given year, and it also an indicator of population health. Life expectancy ni umubare w'imyaka abantu iyo umuntu avutse from a country avuga ngo this is the age that this person can die. Okay, so life expectancy according to 2017 we were at 66.6. By now the life expectancy has increased to 67 until today. Okay, so life expectancy shows you people. For example, if you look about these countries, Scandinavian countries, their life expectancy is around 8 years. But if we look about where this color is mostly in Africa, the life expectancy goes up to 50 years. But if you look to countries like America or Canada, their life expectancy goes up to 75 and up. So this gives you, when you look on a map like this, it gives you about what are the inequities or health disparities that are happening within countries. Okay. So this is the video about life expectancy, and you will have a link to the video and you can watch it in your free time. Okay, so what we call morbidity? Morbidity is the measure of expected healthy lives. And when we talk about morbidity, we talk about disability and queries. Okay, DARIS. So the DARIS is the overall burden measure, disease burden measure, and the sum of the year lost and the year lived with disability. Iyo tuvuze DARIS ni imyaka umuntu yaba yaratakaje kubera urupfu, kongeraho imyaka yabanye n'ubumuga, or years lived with disability. Okay, so the queries is the reverse disease burden measures, and one query it equal to 1 year in good health. Umuntu umaze umwaka umwe mu buzima bwiza, iyo niyo bita one query. So say that life expectancy in Rwanda was 59 in 2016. Okay, so what are the DARIS? So you will see what we call the DARIS and for example, if someone got diabetes, okay, at 50 years, myaka 50, with the expectancy ku myaka 70, DARIS how many DARIS would that be? Ni ukuvuga ufata imyaka igihe yapfiriye. If someone dies at 55, means he has lived with disability for 5 years. The time has been diagnosed with diabetes, but and also the time that he has died, plus the difference between the time he was supposed to die, but the life expectancy, minus the time that when the person died. So Ionyorita DARIS. So it's the sum of year lost plus the year lived with disabilities. So what we call rural and versus urban. This show you total fertility rate. I think we already discussed about this. We see that in a rural area, that's where we have total the high fertility rate, and also we have full birth rate, which is a bit in the rural fertility rate is the full birth rate is wrong. Okay, so we talk about age and the sex. So how are the age distributed, and what are the sex ratio in total population of male and females? So, and this is what we call population pyramids. You will see that here we have the females, and here we have the males. Okay. So, in activity 1 is, for example, if you look about when you are interpreting a pyramid, you have to think about sex ratio. For example, if you look about, so under 5, this is a female and these are male. So you can easily say in this country, the number of births for women are higher compared to the men. Okay. So what are the demographic changes? Demographic changes. What do you think are the major demographic trends in Rwanda concerning fertility, life expectancy, and population growth? And this is something that we will discuss within your group about what are the fertility rates and life expectancy of what happened in Rwanda. So, but when you look into the general picture, you find that there has been a decline in total fertility rate, has declined in Rwanda. Also, there is a decline of under 5 and maternal mortality ratio. We have doubled life expectancy and population growth. So those are some of highlights of something that we can discuss in your group. And when you talk about the case of Josephine, So let's say Josephine lives in a small rural village in Rwanda. Her village is near a river where people get their water. The river is polluted due to mining. It takes 2 hours to walk to the nearest health center. Each household in the village contains 10 family members on average, and some families live together in the same household. Josephine comes from a family of 10 children, like many other villages. 3 of her siblings already died as children. When Josephine got married at 16 to a man in the village, raised by her parents. So what do you think the demographic indicators are in this village? Okay, so this is something that we are going to discuss again in your small groups about the case of Josephine's, talking about describe the life expectancy or mortality rate and fertility rate. What do you think about this in comparison to the population in Rwanda in general? And those are some places where you can get the information. Okay, demographic data source, we have the population registries. Where do we get population registries? We talk about birth, death, and migration. So we can easily know how many people died or how many people are born. Normally in Rwanda, 63% of child registered with civil authorities. If you look on the statistics, you see every child who is born is usually getting to every child who is born is also registered. So, but sometimes they're underreporting and misreporting. Also, we also have demographic and health survey, which are usually random surveys and which usually include the sample size. In the DHS, demographic health survey, normally it's a countrywide, and normally it involves around 20,000 people in the survey. So you can't really compare. So why are we talking about demographics? We're talking about demography because we have to be health advocate. If we want to advocate, we have to know what are those changes that are happening in the community. Who are the people who are dying more than others, and what are the reasons? So, as a take-home message, it is important of data about the population. It's good to understand the importance of data about population size, structure, and change for health situation prediction, prioritization in healthcare system, importance for providing needed healthcare to surveyed communities. So those are a few things that I wanted to highlight related to demography. And as I mentioned, you have time to go with your class and make a demographic profile of Rwanda using the demographic health survey. And also you can look for future prediction. Sorry. Okay. So that's what we had to discuss this morning. This is what we had to discuss this morning. Of course, all materials are shared, and I hope that we'll be able to go on Moodle and discuss within your groups. Do we have anyone who has a question? Yes? Yes. Any questions?
Yes, teacher.
Yes. Yes. Any question? Okay, so if I don't have any receive any question, thank you for your time. Yes.
I don't understand very well about that. I don't know if I understand wrongly. I have understand that you take the year that passed and then you add the year someone that's with disability. Is it
I'm afraid I didn't get you the question.
Yeah, my question is this. I don't understand very well about that.
About what?
That
So what we call DARIs or DARI, those are the disability adjusted life years. It means the year that someone lived with a disability plus the years that someone lost due to a disease. Okay? For example, if someone was diagnosed with diabetes at 15 years, okay? Kumyaka 15. And this person dies at 30 years. Kumyaka 30. The year, how many years do you think he lived with disabilities? We'll take the time that someone died, that is 30 years, minus the year that he was diagnosed with disability, so 15 years. So this person has lived with disability for 15 years, okay? That's the year lost, that's the year lived with disability, YLD.
Is diabetes disability?
The life expectancy
Is that
is 60. Sorry?
I'm asking whether diabetes is disability.
Okay. So for you, you think disability? So every single disease has what we call a disability ratio, because the disease you might not be able to maximize everything on your full capacity. So that's why sometimes we call it disability. every single and if you go through look on the video years, that person has lost how many 60 minus 30, which means he has lost 30 years. So the diaries will be the total number of years that he lost. That person, they in this that we call diaries. Okay, so I think we can close the class from here, and then we will go complete the assignment you have for today. You have the one for morning and the one for this afternoon regarding the demography. So make sure that you do it in your group and study in your groups to be able to submit your assignment by 9. And I think that's what you have for today. Thanks. Okay, so have a good morning, and I'll speak with your class representative with any other challenge, but we can close the class from now. Bye.